Not trying to get copyrighted out here. Guys, welcome back to another video on this channel. So today I'm a very excitable version of Sam because there have been some developments in the atmosphere that have happened in the past week, and I am here to tell you about them at the very end of this video. But today I'm going to talk about my Camp America experience from start to finish. This essentially is a 4-year process, and I've only been to camp twice. I've only been to camp twice, but this has been a 4-year process for myself. A lot of highs and many lows, and we're gonna bring them together and tell you the story about how I ended up getting hired for summer camp for 2 years and having the best time of my life. And at the end of the video, like I said, I'll be sharing some exciting news with you, and we can get into that very, very soon. Let's get into the video. So the first 2 years of this whole story, I'm essentially gonna speed run for you, okay? I was just finishing my A-levels in 2022. If you're not from the UK, that is when you go from high school into either college, you can do A-levels, or you can do an apprenticeship before you go to university. I decided A-levels was the way that I wanted to go, and I was just finishing up this whole process. And I had 3 months ahead of me for summer off, and I thought, what on earth am I gonna do? I've never had this length of time off before, and I have so many opportunities in front of me. Now, if you don't know me, my birthday falls right at the end of June, which means that, unfortunately, I couldn't apply for something that I wanted to do, right? My mum told me about a process called Camp America, and I thought, wow, this sounds incredible. I've always loved going to America. I've always been there on holiday with my family, had a great time, and thought, what an excellent opportunity to go out there, meet some incredible people from around the world, do a job I love in a place that I love, and get paid for it. Like, there's nothing better than that. However, if you don't know about the Camp America process, obviously you have to go to an embassy, get a visa, and for that visa, you have to be 18 by the time you start work. And actually, it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Unfortunately, I called them up and I said, yo, can I have a job, please? I would love to come to Camp America and work at one of these summer camps. And they said, unfortunately, you have to be 18 to do this process by the 1st of June of the year that you want to go. So if my birthday was in May, I would have had a cushy time. I could have gone, everything would have been fine. I could have got the visa sorted, done and dusted. But unfortunately, because I turned 13, because I turned 18 later in June, I couldn't go in 2022. So that put an end to my dreams, and I went on merrily to my new apprenticeship, starting off a degree apprenticeship in a big new world as a fresh 18-year-old. That isn't where the story ends. In 2023, I decided that this apprenticeship was not for me. I was not having a good time. I was 1 year in, and I was really, really struggling. See, for me, I've always been like an extroverted person in the right scenarios, and I just felt like this job just kept pushing and pushing and pushing me down. And I would like to say now, if anyone from the company is watching, I think the company is amazing, and I think the people were fantastic. Unfortunately, I just think the third pillar of this issue was the thing just wasn't for me. I tried my best to make it work, and it was really bringing me down every single day. So in 2023, after a year, I decided that I would apply for Camp America again. I went up to London, I went to the job fair, and I got hired by a camp called Camp Modin. This camp was huge. It was a Jewish camp, and I got hired as a counselor stroke photographer, teacher, whatever you want to call it. And I thought, great, everything's sorted. I've been hired by this amazing camp. I mean, all the footage, all the photos of it looks amazing. The director at the time was a great guy, sat down, felt so inspired after a conversation with him, and he hired me on the spot. And I thought, this is where everything changes. I'm so excited, like I'm going out there. I'm only still 18 at that point, and I was like, yes, I can do this. And by the time I got home and had a chat with my parents, I think my eyes were opened a little bit in that conversation to discover that maybe you need to give yourself more than 1 year at something such as a degree apprenticeship, because it's such a big opportunity that don't come about very often. So I gave myself 1 more year in this opportunity, and in 2024 I was probably at one of the lowest points I've ever felt, especially emotionally. In this job, it just wasn't fulfilling. I didn't feel like I was getting anything out of it progression wise, because I knew that in my future, even if I stuck at this apprenticeship and finished it, that I wouldn't want to use it in the future anyway. So I've wasted a lot of time, a lot of moments where I could have pursued my dreams, which is what I'm doing now. And I decided that I was gonna cut the cord there and just leave. At this time, Camp America wasn't really something in the back of my head. I tried it twice, and unfortunately I couldn't make it. So I decided that that was probably the end of that dream after 2023. Is that where the story ends? Is it heck? I was up in London one day in January, and I was walking around, and I was in Westminster. I was in Westminster just on my own. A lot of times I do that. I go up to London on my own because I love photography. I take my camera, I take photos of people in the street, do loads of stuff like that. And I thought Westminster is an incredible place to do that because there's loads of tourists and there's loads of things like that. So I was up in Westminster, got up there probably around 9 or 10 in the morning. And then I saw some banners for a thing, Camp America. And I was like, there is no way that this camp fair is on the exact same day that I'm up in London, just sort of on my own, on my ones, walking around. And I thought, you know what? Let's create an application. I've decided in my head that this apprenticeship isn't for me and I'm eventually gonna leave at some point before the summer. So I decided to make an application to go in on the day. I literally just stood there. If you know that Nicki Minaj, banging out an application on my phone, just stood there watching people walking. I was like, they're taking my spot. I filled out this application and I got into this queue, and I'll never forget this part of my life for as long as I live, I believe, anyway, because it was a very pivotal and life-changing part that I experienced in this moment. I was waiting there in the queue. Some guy came around in Camp America clothing and he was like, can I see your application, just to double check. Then they give you something to scan, you put in your details and you get to go in. So I was standing there with him while I was just filling out this thing, and he said, so have you done Camp America before? I said, mate, I've tried for 2 years to go. Unfortunately, life circumstances just haven't worked out, but this year I really want to make it happen. And this guy, he looked at me in just utter shock and amazement, and he was like, mate, Camp America is one of the best things that I have ever done in my life. It changed me, it gave me so many opportunities, it was the best summer I've ever had. Even though it's only a summer, I really recommend you doing it, and I really recommend you making the possibilities and the opportunities to go out there and do it. And I was like, I didn't need much convincing before, but now I was sold on the idea. So I went into that hall 2024 and I was like, this year I'm going to make it happen. So I walked around a camp fair. There was still quite a few camps hiring, and I was speaking to different people. They was like, what role do you want to do? I said, well, sort of photography mixed in with counselling, sort of things like that. And I ended up walking past this girl and she said, what role are you looking to get hired for? So I explained and she said, that is perfect. Come and speak to our director. You can have an interview and we would love to have you at our camp. So for a little bit I spoke to her just about the camp, and then I ended up getting hired. And I thought, as she was handing me over these forms, I was like, this year I will see you there. I'm gonna be there. Because the past year in my first ever interview, I thought, it was like, really, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. I don't know if I have the time, and I don't know if I have the balls to leave my current position to actually come here. But in 2024, I knew that I was going to make it happen. So, after getting hired, I walked out of that camp fair. I paid my £55, whatever fee that was for, and they sort of gave me some information about, sorry, I'm trying to open these blinds to get a little bit more light in here. I spoke to them about the visa and everything like that, and they said, once you get home, fill out as much of this application as you can, because obviously I'd only done the most brief things you could on the application to get there. So I filled it all out, and then once I was home, I spoke to my mum about it, and I said, look, mum, I've given this my best shot, this apprenticeship, but unfortunately it's not for me. I've gone up to London today, I found out that Camp America Camp Fair was on, I went in, I got hired, and it was probably one of the most spontaneous things that I've ever done, and we just both agreed that it was the opportunity of a lifetime. And I can't tell you, from this moment onwards, like, my head was just America. Like, I was planning everything. I was getting, obviously, flights booked, everything like that. And I was just like, I cannot wait to go and do this experience. So June rolls around, sort of 5 months after I got hired. I was heading out to my camp in the June. So I pulled up there. I'm not gonna actually go into too much detail about my camp and everything, because I've got videos about it. If you wanna go watch it, it's called Camp Quinnipiac. You can watch it. Or my summer camp experience, one of my best performing videos ever. You can go watch it. It's a good sort of iteration of what summer camp is like day to day. But yeah, went in, had an amazing summer, had some highs, some lows, learned so much, and I just thought by the end of the summer, I was like, that was one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life. And that guy that I spoke to in the queue really wasn't wrong. Yes, there was money that went into it. Yes, there was stress, there was anxiety, there was a couple tears, And I just thought, I'm so thankful that I've given myself this opportunity and that I've actually done it. And in the September, I went back home. I'd already signed up for university sort of over the summer. And I went to start my marketing degree in the September of 2024. And I knew from that exact minute that I wanted to apply to Camp America again. I was 50-50 whether I wanted to go to a different camp, just because always in my head, when I sort of pictured summer camp after doing research, I thought of the big camps. You know, you see the people who go to the massive camps with the cool stuff that gets documented a lot on social media. Well, the one that I'd been to really wasn't documented well on social media at all. So I was messaging people that I saw left comments on their website, on their Instagram page, and I was just asking them for their experience. That was sort of my process in my mind, thinking, do I want to go back to this camp or do I want to try a different one? Not because it was bad, but because I just want a different experience. After speaking to quite a few of my friends, I discovered that a lot of them were going back to Camp 2025. So I thought, you know what, I really want to see them. They're amazing people. So I went and signed up for Camp America 2025. I got hired again by my camp, had some interviews and stuff like that, got paid increase and all things like that. And I was thinking, this is so sweet. I'm going back to a place where I know I had a great time. I met great people. I'm going to meet even more incredible people. I met some great kids. They taught me loads of new things in the first summer. So I'm going to learn lots in the second summer, and I'm going to get paid more and not have to stay in a bunk with the kids. So in my second summer going into it, I actually went to the camp fair in London in 2025 for my camp and was sort of speaking to people and putting through people the application to then go and have a conversation like I did with that girl in my first ever summer, go and get hired by our sort of director. So I was doing that, and it felt like a really full circle moment, especially having been to a camp fair twice, obviously getting hired both times, but unfortunately bottling it at the last phases in the first year. It's such a crazy full circle moment. You can actually see the vlog, it's on my account, of the day that I went up to do that camp fair, and you can sort of see, I think, in my face and in my voice, like how happy and excited I was that I'd taken a chance on this opportunity. Yes, it was scary. Yes, it was probably the wrong decision to a lot of people, like they made apparent to me, but I was so proud that I went. And then the next year I'm literally hiring people to do the exact same thing. So obviously by that point I'd been hired, I'd done the camp fair, and it was literally a countdown to 2025. I was sat in my uni room from January till May at uni, and the time seriously just went like that. Literally everything flew by, and I was going to Camp 2025. And I think this is where the story sort of changes a little bit. In my second summer, I actually really struggled in my first few weeks. I was expecting it to be like the first year. A lot of the people that went back were sort of, it didn't feel like the same, and I shouldn't have gone into an experience expecting it to be the same, especially not Camp America, where there's going to be people from all around the world and it's going to be different every time you do it. So I went in expecting it to be the same, and I actually was thinking about leaving at some points, which sounds mental to me now and would have sounded mental to me in the first year. But a kid who loved Camp America so much, loved his first experience, was actually considering leaving and going home. And I actually had a conversation sat on the swing set one day with one of my pals from England. He was just sat next to me, and we had a conversation. He was like, mate, things will get better. Once the kids get here, it'll all be nicer and things will improve. And ironically, he was right. It was his first summer, and here he was giving me advice after he'd watched all my videos and things like that. So yeah, I really appreciate that conversation. And after that, I had a good summer. Things went wrong, things went right. I met an amazing girl, had a great time, and traveled America. Like, I never thought I'd be doing that, especially with a girl that I loved, and had an amazing time doing it. So the second year taught me the most, I'd say. But at the end of it, I sort of realised that after meeting her, that I didn't necessarily want to do a third summer. Not because I didn't enjoy Camp America anymore, but purely because I wanted to spend as much time with her as I could. And obviously over the summer, you got opportunities to go travel and do stuff together, which is where the story takes a little bit of a turn. Obviously on social media, I'm followed by Camp America because I worked with them as an influencer for my 2 years at camp. And I was just seeing everywhere people getting signed up for camp, people becoming Camp America ambassadors, people doing this and doing that. And I was like, oh my God, I just so wish that me and Alessia could go back to camp together. Not necessarily my one, get hired and just go through that experience again. Like, even though I didn't have the most incredible time in my first year, at least I could go in for a third year knowing that it would be the same, and then sort of being able to adapt and everything like that. And it got around to January, obviously, when the camp fair usually is for London, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna have a summer in the UK, in Europe with Alessia. We're gonna travel. She's got uni, so she's committed to that quite a lot of the time, because in Germany they go through all the way till end of August, I believe. And I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna have to get a job in the UK in the summer, just work and travel whenever I can. I'll be honest, as it got to March, April time where we are now, I have been struggling a lot. My mental health has taken a lot of turns because I was realizing that I would have to spend 3 months in the UK living at home, which is fine. I love my parents and I have a nice time when I'm around them. But living at home in the UK, working like a part-time job and getting to travel every now and then and not meeting new people. And I was like, what on earth am I doing? I can't do that. So I sat down with Alessia, we had a conversation, and I said, look, obviously I love you with my whole heart and I want to stay with you. However, there's an opportunity for me to go online. This was literally last week. Online, do a virtual camp fair and get hired by this one camp that I saw that I wanted to get hired by. And it is called, and I looked up on the internet, and whoever makes the videos or had made the videos, shout out you, because they are incredible. That sold me the dream upon dreams. And I went in there, I spoke to the assistant director, had a conversation for about 15 minutes just before I was starting work that evening, and I got hired. And I was like, oh my God, it is literally the middle of April now, and I've got to get a visa sorted, I've got to get all my forms and everything like that done. And I was just thinking, how on earth am I gonna be able to get everything done in this short period of time? I'm currently in that phase right now. I haven't got a visa, I've done all my documents. The agency are currently just contacting my camp to make sure everything's okay. And then after that, hopefully I can get my visa sorted. And once I've got that sorted, I will feel so much more comfortable and confident. But I've got a lot to do, so it's still not guaranteed, because obviously you never know with visas, they're fickle things, and they can fall through at any point. So I'm not saying it's 100% that I'm going to camp this summer, but it certainly is on, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I can be at summer camp this year, to meet new people, have new experiences, and just try something different. And I'm so excited about that. I can't wait. I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, touching wood, that I can get out there and do this. That's my video. I hope you did enjoy it. And that was a bit of a rambling one, but I really enjoy watching people's summer camp stories, because mine especially is quite different to a lot of people and spanned over a lot more years than you would have expected, because a lot of people find out about it, apply, go, done. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. It massively helps me out. If I do get to go to camp this year, trust me, I have finally mastered the camp content game and know when to make content when I'm at camp. So I will be making visa videos, everything like that on the run up to get all this stuff done in literally probably about 6 weeks time, to try and get a visa, forms, flights booked, and get there. Whew. I don't do things by halves, do I, guys? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.